is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Black Hawk. We are Florida.
Gorgeous night here in South Florida. We've got baseball on tap for you. Sun Life Stadium, a Super Saturday. The Fab Four is here. So are the Milwaukee Brewers, who were fabulous last night with a couple of big home runs. The Marlins have dropped 4 of their last 5. Everybody ready for a Saturday night? I think we're ready to go. Brewers and Marlins in Game 2 of what is a 4-game series. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton for the Marlins. They've dropped 4 of 5. And, Tommy, in this stretch, aside from the one blowout, they've had to bounce back from some tough losses, and last night was a tough one.
Yeah, I think you will look at a game, approach a game like tonight a little differently if you've been blown out 4 or 5 times. But with the exception of the one game in Arizona, the Marlins have played some tough games. As example, the last loss in Arizona was 6-5, a tough loss, and last night's loss. So they've been in games. They just need to get a little bit better with runners in scoring position.
If you could eliminate 2 pitches from last night's ball game, Marlins would have won. But those 2 pitches were deadly.
Yeah, 2 pitches turned into home runs, and they turned into 2-run shots. A 3-0 fastball. You have to know that Prince Fielder's going to be swinging. He has the green light, 3-0. He hit a 2-run shot. And then, of course, the big game winner by Ryan Braun off Leo Nunez with a man at first base, a 2-run shot. So the Brewers hit 2-run shots. The Marlins hit solo blasts. Gabby Sanchez with one down the line, the most consistent hitter the Marlins have had all year. How about the slow curve? Almost an eephus pitch, and Mike Stanton took it deep. So the 2 Marlins home runs, they were hit well, but they were both solo shots.
And the Marlins, to score runs tonight, are going to have to beat a very hot pitcher right now. Giovanni Gallardo for the Milwaukee Brewers has been their ace this year, and he's almost been untouchable this last month.
Yeah, he's been their hottest pitcher. Gallardo is against the Marlins 2-0 with a nice ERA of 1.74. He's won 5 straight starts. During that time, his ERA is 1.29. He possesses all 3 pitches, 3 quality pitches.
Now, Chris Volstad, there's a look at Gallardo as he continues to loosen up. Chris Volstad has had some success against the Brewers. Not a lot of starts, but he is on a run of some rough starts himself.
Yeah, and Rich, he really needs to bounce back from that last outing. He was a part of that blowout in Arizona, gave up 8 hits and 5 runs in his 3 1/3. So Chris Volstad has an opportunity, because it's against a club he's had success against, to step it up a little bit tonight. And by the way, I thought we were the Fab Four. You, me, Frank, and Jeff.
No.
Oh,
that
okay.
would be the band playing afterwards on a Baker Concrete Super Saturday. When we get back, Mark Kotze stops by, an old friend of the show. Marlins and Brewers, Game 2 of a 4-game series.
Super Saturday night here at Sun Life Stadium. Frank Fork along with Jeff Conine. Back in the day, 1996, Mark Kotze was the Marlins' first-round pick, 9th overall. From 98 through 2000, he was a starting outfielder here for the Florida Marlins. Now a Milwaukee Brewer, contributed 2 hits to last night's game, and now with his 7th team in 15 Major League seasons, we visited today with Mark Kotze.
I do love this game. This game's blessed me with an unbelievable life, an unbelievable 15 years, and I'm very thankful for that. The Marlins gave me that opportunity as a young 20-year-old to get called to the big leagues and be a part of that 1997 World Championship team for a brief 18 days, but a great 18 days, and got to play for a great manager while I was here in Jim Leland, and just the experiences alone I've taken with me and I cherish forever.
You've had to deal with some things in terms of injuries. You've had back surgeries. You've had multiple surgeries. But in the end, you're still out there and you're still fighting through it. I mean, you're thankful, I'm sure, for every day out here. I am, definitely. I'm thankful for the surgeon that gave me the opportunity to come back. So, I look at my career, and unfortunately, I got hurt at a time when I think I was really in my prime. My best season in Oakland in 2004, I was 27 years old. I put up my best numbers. I got a couple MVP votes that year, and then in the following season, I injured my back. And there we go. It was kind of detrimental, but not career ending, but it definitely took away from some numbers that I could have put up. But I was blessed. I worked hard. I took it as a new challenge to the baseball side of things, and here I am, 6 years after my first surgery, still playing. Does the game get any easier as you get older? It doesn't get easier by any means. Physically, it's definitely not easier. You sit back, the mental side of things, you see things differently. You can tell why guys kind of at the end of their careers benefit a little bit from not playing every day. The wear and tear on your body. You just don't recover as well, and when you're younger you do, and so not playing every day helps, but then again you look at it and you see your value to the ball club as a veteran that provide leadership on and off the field. And Jeff, I definitely think he has value for this Milwaukee team.
Yeah, veteran leadership, and you reserve the term gamer for a few guys, and I think Mark Kotze is a gamer. He's been out there, plays the game hard and plays the game right, and he's done so since day one.
15 years in the big leagues, Golden Spikes Award winner at Cal State Fullerton, also a most outstanding player of the College World Series. I'd call that a pretty good career.
Yeah.
And Mark Kotze still going for the Milwaukee Brewers. Coming up next, it's the Marlins, it's the Brewers. Yvonne Gallardo takes on Chris Bolstad in Game 2 of this series. Brewers won last night 6-5 with a 9th inning rally. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton with all the action. It's coming your way next in high definition right here on Fox Sports Florida.
A Super Saturday, Chris Volstad and the Milwaukee Brewers about to meet. Ricky Weeks climbs in. Hope you're ready for some baseball tonight Weeks to be followed by Corey Hart and Ryan Braun. And this is as tough as it gets in the National League for top of the order. First pitch, a sharp grounder to third, and Greg Dobbs fires it across in time. When you think about the Brewers lineup, brought to you by Warren Henry Automobiles, you got Weeks, who's hit 10 homers in the leadoff spot. Corey Hart is hot right now. Ryan Braun won the game last night with a 2-run homer. Prince Fielder had a 2-run homer. Then you got Casey McGee, Jonathan Lucroy, Yuniesky Betancourt. Niger Morgan hits 8th. Giovanni Gallardo, a very good hitting pitcher. Volstad delivers to Hart. Strike one.
Good start for Chris to get one out on one pitch. You see the ERA creeping towards 6. A lot of that because of that last outing in Arizona. 8 hits and 5 runs in his 3 1/3.
Fly ball down the right field line. A long run for Mike Stanton, and it plants itself right on that rubber matted warning track. It's a foul ball that counts 0-2.
There's the defense, sponsored by Warren Henry tonight with Lomo and Coughlin and Stanton. Greg Dobbs in the starting lineup tonight. Bonifacio and Infante, Gabby, and John Buck behind the plate. Yeah, not too many lineups have a guy like a Corey Hart. And you mentioned it. You have 2 guys at the top of the order, Weeks and Hart, who have power.
A lot of it. And, of course, Hart has just 5 homers, but remember, he's only played in 29 games. He had an oblique strain that kept him out of the lineup from the very start. Just 106 at bats. Last night he was 3 for 4 and scored 2 runs. And a high fastball is lined into the seats.
He had 31 home runs last year. He was in the home run derby.
That's right.
The All-Star break.
He had a great, as I remember, he had a great first round and then didn't homer in the second round.
He hit none the second time. But yeah, he had a great first round.
1-2 coming. Chris misses inside. Inside is a key word for Chris Volstad tonight.
Good pitch for him. He needs to show a hitter every once in a while that he's going to go there.
Right back to him. And Volstad fires to first in time. So a couple of ground ball outs. That's always a good sign with Volstad. And here comes last night's hero, Ryan Braun. So, I mean, the Brewers 1 through 4. Weeks with his 10 homers. You got Hart. Now Braun steps in. He is tied for second in homers with 13. Right behind him is Fielder with 12. Together they've driven in 86 runs, those two, Braun and Fielder. Of course, Braun with a pinch hit 2-run homer against Leo Nunez in the 9th erased the Marlins lead, gave the Brewers the win.
Those 86 RBIs between Braun and Fielder, the most by any duo in the major leagues. Yeah, potentially they have their first 4 hitters a chance for those 4 guys to hit 30 home runs.
Braun goes after a breaking ball. Dobbs, busy night already, and Braun is out by less than a step. That's a 9-pitch inning and a great start for Chris Volstad. Here comes Giovanni Gallardo. by AT&T, by Checkers, Little Place, Big Taste, and by all your cooling. Today's comfort, yesterday's prices. The famous Jungle Queen. Marlins lineup looks this way. 31 and 24 are the fish. Brought to you by Warren Henry, the Warren Henry advantage. Chris Coghlan in center. Emilio Bonifacio is bumped up to the 2 spot. Logan Morrison, Gabby Sanchez, Greg Dobbs, Mike Stanton, John Buck, Omar Infante hits 8th, and Chris Volstad hits 9th. And this guy is one of the hottest pitchers in baseball right now. 25-year-old, born in Mexico, raised in Fort Worth, Texas.
Well, one of the reasons he's hot is he just flat out has good stuff. Good major league stuff with fastball in the 90s, good breaking ball, couple of breaking balls, slider and curve.
Coghlan bounces one up the middle, diving stop by Betancourt, base hit for Chris Coghlan. Yuniesky Betancourt made the dive and got the throw off, but Coghlan was hustling up the line.
Good effort by Betancourt. He knows that he's going to have to get rid of this quickly and make a perfect throw. From his knee, his throw pulls fielder off the bag, and Chris Coghlan starts things with that infield base hit. Because the Marlins have struggled, especially last night, with runners in scoring position, we'll see how Edwin plays this early in the game to try to get on Gallardo early.
We'll see if Bonifacio drops a bunt down. He does. It's a gorgeous one. McGee swallows it up and just gets him at first base. That may be the best sacrifice bunt we've ever seen out of Emilio Bonifacio, who is always so much better when he's bunting for a hit.
Yeah, and mainly because he approached it as if he were bunting for a hit. He's better than if he purely squares. He squared a little bit there, but you're right. That's probably the best punt in that situation we've seen. But nice job. Job well done for Bonifacio.
Here's Logan Morrison. We're talking about the 2 pitches last night that were the difference makers. The 3-0 pitch that Nolasco threw to Prince Fielder, the 1-1 pitch that Leo Nunez threw to Ryan Braun. Logan Morrison would like to have the 2-0 pitch back that he got in the 9th inning. The one that he went after the fastball that he just popped up into right field.
And we've talked about it. You see the average for Lomo with runners in scoring position. Trust me, as he matures as a player, that number will go up. It's a fine line between getting a little more aggressive, which at times he has to be in these situations, and getting the right pitch and not trying to do too much with it.
And I think that 2-0 pitch last night, he tried to do a little too much with it.
He got himself in a good count, but then tried to do too much, yeah.
Gallardo, good tight break on that, and it's 1-2.
Fastball, sliders. Changeup is his 4th best pitch.
1-2.
Boy,
and that breaking ball is a good one,
that's
too.
That's that nasty 12-6 curveball that Gallardo has. Check on the defense, brought to you by Warren Henry. Braun back in the lineup. Morgan and Corey Hart. Casey McGee, Betancourt, Weeks, and Fielder around the infield. And starting behind the plate, Jonathan Lucroy.
Just watching that at bat, you can see how Gallardo has won his last 5 starts. No swing.
Talked about the quality pitches that Gallardo has. One of those, that off the table 12-6 curveball.
So he's won 5 straight starts, and in those starts total, he's given up 5 runs. At 93.
Quick scouting report on Giovanni Gallardo. 27 wins the last couple of years. He's been a nice horse in their rotation. We've talked about the curve. And last year alone, he hit 4 home runs. He has 9 in his career.
Misses away with that breaking ball. Gabby Sanchez last night a homer to left field. Now has 10 homers, 36 driven in. To go along with 13 doubles, continues to be in the top 10 in the National League in slugging percentage, on base percentage. Into center field. It drops. Here comes Coghlan. And Gabby Sanchez gives the Marlins a 1-0 lead. Oh, yeah, he's in the top 10 in RBIs, too, with 37.
Well, we've given you some of the positives and negatives of hitters with runners in scoring position. Gabby's been a positive all year. I think he got this one a little on the end of the bat. But you know what? Because of that, it dropped in front of Nyjer Morgan. And after the sacrifice bunt of Bonifacio, Coghlan's able to come in and score.
Gabby sits right around 330 with runners in scoring position. Here's a guy at the plate now that is leading the Marlins with runners in scoring position, and that's Greg Dobbs. 389. And if Dobbs had enough at-bats to qualify, and he's getting close to it, he would be third in the National League with runners in scoring position. Fastball misses away from Gallardo. Dobbs last night didn't start the game, came in as a pinch hitter and delivered a big hit. RBI single in the 6th inning. He would double in the 8th. Flips that one foul, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, the Marlins in that inning got 4 hits and a run that put them ahead off Sergio Mitre. And then Edwin put on his manager's cap, which he always has, and did a great job getting through that 8th inning with 3 different pitchers.
He really had to finesse that in.
Yeah.
Dobbs went after the breaking ball. Of course, all the finesse and all the managing is all well and good, but if your closer can't get 3 outs in the 9th, it goes for naught, and that's kind of what happened last night.
You know what? And it happens all around baseball. Jonathan Papelbon of the Red Sox came in with a 7-3 score. In a third of an inning, gave up 3 hits and 4 runs to the Athletics. The Red Sox went on to win in the 14th inning, but Papelbon gave it up today.
Well, the Marlins went on that West Coast road trip with a closer who had not blown a save, and then ended up facing a closer who had not blown a save. Nunez did blow a save in San Francisco, and the Marlins ran into J.J. Putz, who had not blown a save all year. And, of course, the Marlins tied the game in the 9th, lost that game, but Putz, at that point, instead of 16 of 16, was 16 of 17. The Cheeseheads are here tonight. I thought I saw a guy with a sausage necklace as well.
Is that a Gouda?
In this humidity, I don't think it is. Full count. Gabby will be on the move. Dobbs has held up on those last couple of breaking balls.
And this is when you say, there's that sausage necklace. You're right. That's great. A little cheese mixed in.
Sausage. 3-2. Runner goes. Dobbs drives it to center. Morgan is over. And Nyjer Morgan makes the catch. But the Marlins are on the board. Chris Coghlan gets on base. Gabby Sanchez drives him in. And the Fish are on top 1-0.
Fútbol está disponible en español vía Zap y es presentado por KFC.
Gorgeous night here at the ballpark. All year cooling brings us our weather report. The Marlins last year went over 80% of their games with the owl in the weather. 81 degrees, overcast and breezy. It's the first time this year that the crack staff has broken out the owl footage. Here's Prince Fielder. Volstad misses in. Fielder, Casey McGee, Jonathan Lucroy. Fielder had a 3-0 pitch, and with that uppercut swing, took a mighty rip. He's the guy that I envision, if you ever go back and read the old baseball poem, Casey at the Bat. He's the guy I envision as the modern-day Casey. Because his uppercut swing is a ferocious one.
Yeah, he does not hold back. Here we go again, a 3-0 count. And this is, you just cannot pitch to him falling behind. And we know he has the green light.
Volstad misses outside and walks him. Chris worked a 1-2-3 first inning. Now comes McGee and Lucroy. We mentioned inside a key word for Chris, and Volstad used those exact words in describing his last start. He said, I have to pitch inside. And he obviously felt he did not in his last start at Arizona. 3 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs. He gave up home runs to Kelly Johnson and Gerardo Parra, and those were left-handed hitters who had off-field shots.
Yeah, both going to those bleacher seats in left field. You know, we talked about the first 4 hitters in the Brewers lineup. There's a guy, Casey McGee, over 20 home runs last year and over 100 RBIs.
Yeah, the Brewers, the only team in baseball that had 3 guys over 100 RBIs, and Prince Fielder wasn't one of them. Braun, Hart, and McGee. They have a new skipper in Milwaukee, Ron Renicky, in his first year, and some people may not have heard of him, but of course he and his brother Gary both played in the big leagues.
I think Gary maybe a little better career, but Renicky, talking to him today, really enjoying this situation. His first major league managerial position, but it's a lineage under Mike Scioscia that everybody's branched out. Joe Madden, Buddy Black.
Yeah, you've got some talent coming out of there. Volstad. A 92-mile-an-hour fastball. The count now 2-2. And all those guys still talk with each other. They stay in contact.
Yeah, Renicky said he probably talks more to Scioscia than the others. He said he just saw the Brewers just played the Padres, so he saw Bud Black. And he says usually Joe Madden texts him. You know, Joe Madden's a Renaissance guy.
He is. Good pitch. Volstad strikes out McGee, who seemingly had trouble holding on to his bat on that AB.
A good comeback, some good pitches after not throwing a strike to Prince Fielder. Chris came back and made some really good pitches to McGee.
So here is Lucroy, and just to show you how cruel this game can be, Lucroy right out of the gates got off to a great start. In fact, he was named Brewers Player of the Month for May. 5 homers, drove in 20. In June, he's won for his last 18.
It's a humbling game, as anybody will attest that's ever played.
Prince Fielder's at first. Long wait by Volstad. And he catches the corner. It's 0-2. This is career start number 84 for Volstad, who still is only 24. Out of Palm Beach Gardens. Marlins first round pick in 2005 and the 16th overall pick in the draft. Changeup, devastating. Volstad looks sharp tonight.
Boy, some nice pitches to McGee. Now Lucroy. We've seen the slider. And that's a good changeup. And if you're the Brewers, you're going to file that away as a right-handed hitter and say, hey, he'll throw that changeup to righties as well.
Milwaukee shortstop Yuniesky Betancourt. The 29-year-old Cuban up now. He was 2 for 4 last night. And Betancourt takes ball 1. Betancourt played an awful lot with Kansas City last year. Was originally signed by and played with Seattle. That one fouled over the screen. That's a ball club that is hot right now. The Seattle Mariners getting great pitching from a variety of people, including Jason Vargas, former Marlin.
Former Marlin, Jason Vargas, his first ever complete game shutout. Shut out the Rays last night.
How about that battery? The Marlins may see that in Seattle. Jason Vargas pitching to Miguel Olivo. 1-1. The Rays, though, came back and beat Seattle 3-2. So Tampa Bay beat Seattle today. Jeremy Hellickson is now 7-3 with that win. And Kyle Farnsworth has 11 saves.
That was a little area of concern with all the relief pitchers, losing Soriano and so many to free agency.
Betancourt sends that down the left field line. Long run for Morrison. He's there, and he makes the catch. Out from under his cap, Morrison runs it down. And Chris Volstad. Maybe walking Prince Fielder wasn't so bad after all. Volstad is through 2, and the Marlins are up 1-0. Sunday tomorrow finishes, actually it does this, a wraparound series. It's Game 3 tomorrow. Fans can take a photo with the Marlins player at the strike zone pregame. Kids can run the bases after the game in the Diamond Dash. For tickets, 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. Mike Stanton, John Buck, Omar Infante against Giovanni Gallardo. First pitch fastball strike. This is not Mike in terms of facing Gallardo. Stanton is 2 for 3 against him. In fact, Chris Coughlin with that base hit in the first inning is now 3 for 4 against him.
Let's see if he expands it a little bit with that breaking ball after Mike chased the last one. Yeah, he does.
But that's kind of where the fun stops for the Marlins, because Gallardo has made 3 starts against the Fish. He's 2-0 with a 1.74.
Yeah, he hasn't been a real good rodeo ride
No.
lately.
Here's the 1-2. And it's in the dirt. Though he did grow up and pitch high school in Fort Worth.
You were talking last night, Rich, of the young players and the core of this Milwaukee Brewer team. Gallardo a part of that as well with the contract he signed.
Stanton got a fastball, and he pops it up. Hart signaling for a fair catch out in right field. Makes it. So with 1 out, here comes John Buck. Yeah, Gallardo has been signed through 2014. The Brewers have locked up Zach Greinke. Greinke signed through next year. Actually, the Royals were the ones that locked him up. Sean Markham is making $4 million in his second year of arbitration. Randy Wolf is signed through next year. But Gallardo through 2014, a $30 million contract.
We're not going to see Markham in this series, a guy who pitched to John Buck last year as a member of the Toronto Blue Jays. But you hear all kinds of good things about the type of bulldog Sean Markham is, a guy who doesn't throw that hard, but a guy who has had success.
We are going to face a guy that did pitch to John Buck when he was in Kansas City, and that's Zach Greinke.
Markham 6-2 on the year with a 2.78 ERA.
Buck fouls it back, and it's 1-1. John with a nice night last night. He was 2 for 4 and had a terrific at-bat in the 9th inning with the game on the line and a couple runners aboard. Buck walked against John Axford. That loaded the bases up, and then Axford would then strike out Brett Hayes. That's not a cheesehead. That would be the Grand Poobah.
I wonder if he knows the secret handshake. I bet he does.
So we can't delve into Flintstones trivia because Craig's not here. He would be the go-to guy in all of that. 1-2 coming. Ooh, wow. You saw Gallardo flinch.
Hey, notice how Lucroy, the catcher, held that ball, number 5, on the line, so very close. I think both Gallardo and Lucroy wanted that pitch.
And Buck is swinging at anything close now, and it's 2-2. But that's part of the dialogue that will continue with home plate umpire C.B. Buckner, Lucroy, and Buck throughout the ballgame. Fastball, Buck fouled it back. John Maley, Marlins hitting coach, is talking about Buck and how over the last couple of ball games, all of a sudden his swing has kind of come back to him. Not getting tied up as much. He's not swinging as many bad pitches. They really are trying to bust him in.
Yeah, the one that just missed was in. That fastball missed inside. But that's the thing that Gallardo can do. He can go in with a fastball, but then he's got that slider and curveball he can come back with. This is the 9th pitch in this at bat.
Fastball, Buck to center field, deep. Morgan back, and at the track, he makes the catch. It's a big yard, and there are 2 outs.
And Gallardo last year made the All-Star team, but it was right about July that he had an oblique injury that placed him on the disabled list, so he didn't pitch in the All-Star game, but he was an All-Star last year.
Omar Infante 1 for 4 with a tough right-hander on the mound. Edwin Rodriguez has Emilio Bonifacio hitting second, and Infante in the 8th spot. Omar takes a strike. Little pop out to right, Hart over and in, and makes the catch. Giovanni Gallardo goes 1-2-3 through the fish in the second. This was the day after Nyjer Morgan put Brett Hayes out for the season. Chris Volstad threw behind him, and Gabby Sanchez with a nice clothesline, and the Marlins and the Nationals brawled. Morgan was suspended initially 15 games for this incident, the incident with Hayes, and incidents with fans in Philadelphia and here in Miami. That suspension was reduced to 8 games, and Morgan moved on to the Milwaukee Brewers. Volstad simply was the next pitcher to face Morgan after he had hit Hayes.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to say that's being at the right place at the right time or the wrong place at the right time, but it was his duty, and give Chris Volstad credit, he stepped up.
Morgan gets a warm greeting and hits a ball to right field and hits it deep. Nyjer Morgan hits it out, and this game is tied. First home run for Nyjer Morgan.
Not what Chris Volstad wanted to see Nyjer Morgan do. That's the best way to get back at anybody. Nyjer Morgan did his job. You can see how he's reacting. He's happy at what he did, and he got a great pitch to hit. Fastball came by right over the plate, drifted middle of the plate, and Morgan, who doesn't have much power, was able to muscle that one out.
The guy at the plate has a lot of power. That's Giovanni Gallardo. He swings and misses. Yeah, Morgan really has performed well for the Brewers. His average up around 370. Just staying healthy has been a challenge for him, but when he's been in there, he's been very good. Gallardo has homered this year. He's driven in 3 runs. He's 6 for 30 on the season.
Yeah, you watch him hit, and it doesn't look like a pitcher up there. He has a good approach, good idea.
Volstad misses away with a breaking ball. That's the 9th home run that Chris has allowed. This is start number 11. The Marlins would like him to get deep into this start. Gallardo pumps one to left field. Morrison back. Logan jumps. Oh, he makes the catch. Logan Morrison is down. He holds on. A tremendous play in left field.
And Gallardo still can't believe it.
Now, Ron Renneke is going to come out and argue that the ball popped out of Morrison's glove. It did come out, but it came out when he was on the warning track. And now the umpires may even talk about this.
Well, the basic rule states that you actually have to reach in with the throwing hand to bring the ball out of the glove. So Renicky may have himself an argument. He's going to check with the second base umpire, the crew chief, Dale Scott. But what a great play as Morrison crashes against the wall.
He's actually starting to, he stays down. He's standing up. So, I mean,
I think in that case, he certainly has it long enough. Did he reach in with the other hand? No. But I think he had it long enough.
Yeah, I mean, he's essentially standing up.
Yes. And it wasn't like it was snow coned and about to come out. I can understand Renicky's argument, but he's going to lose. And it's going to be an out, and it's going to be a great catch by Logan Morrison. By the way, for Niger Morgan, that was only his 5th career home run, the one he hit off Volstad there. A couple of nice plays tonight already from Logan Morrison. He ran over near the corner, near the line, to make a grab last inning, and that catch there.
Weeks now standing in. Ricky Weeks, who has one shy of 100 career home runs.
Talking, Rich, before the game to Andre Dawson, who observes, watches, teaches, and he has really been impressed with the adjustment, the transition for Chris Coughlin in center field and Logan Morrison in left field.
And 2 infielders learning to play the outfield in the big leagues. I think Coughlin especially. Just the fact that, as you pointed out last week, the discussion about can Chris Coughlin play center field ended like a week into the season.
Yeah, a week or 2 into the season, that was it.
You never heard of it after that. Weeks drives that ball into right field. Stanton picks it up. A 1-out single for the Brewers' leadoff man. And here comes Corey Hart with 1 out in a tie game in the top of the 3rd. A home run by Niger Morgan, of all people. Gabby Sanchez has an RBI single for the Fish. And here's Hart, who bounced back to the mound. Chris Volstad, a 9-pitch first inning with 3 ground ball outs.
Now, we've seen in the past, we've seen improvement this year in Chris Volstad holding runners. Quicker over to first, a little bit quicker to the plate. But Weeks has 6 steals, 6 out of 8. We talked about this ball club last night. They do like to run.
Mark Kotze with a stolen base last night. And a strike to Hart. Hart physically is kind of like a Jason Worth type guy. I mean, tall, lanky, good speed, good power, good arm.
Yeah, that's a good call. Good comparison.
Who has better facial hair, though?
Jason Worth.
Well, Hart's not far behind.
Yeah, not far, but I think Worth gets him in that department. Also gets him in the bank account department a little bit, too. Even though Corey Hart is well taken care of.
Yeah, 3-year, $26 million contract's nothing to sneeze at, but it's not Jason Worth money. There's a strike. Lays off that changeup, and it dipped below the strike zone.
But that's where you want to have that changeup go. You're hoping that the hitter chases it. And Corey Hart's always hit coming up in their organization. over 600 games in the minor leagues, a 300 career hitter in the minor leagues.
Weeks hasn't budged from first, and Volstad has done a nice job of keeping him close. Chris's footwork has improved dramatically on his throws to first.
Quicker feet.
John Buck looking into the dugout, and he's not looking in for the pitch sign. He's looking in to see if the Marlins staff wants to pitch out. Back to Volstad. Out there. Out there.
Nicely done.
Infante paid the price at second on a good slide by Weeks. Logan Morrison all banged up on his way back into the dugout. Of the third, Chris Volstad coming to the plate, and a nice exit for the third inning from him.
Boy, you like the footwork. It's our checkers double play of the game. A strong throw by Volstad, a strike to Infante. He gets out of the way. Keep in mind, Weeks runs well, got to him quickly, and you're right, Infante paid a little price but got off a strong throw. But it all started with Chris Volstad's catch and strong throw to second base.
Logan Morrison came off. There's Mike Kozak, the trainer. Morrison came off that inning, and he was not moving well, Tommy. And he very gingerly came down the steps of the Marlins dugout. As you see him disappear down the runway with the Marlins trainer, the Fish are already seriously banged up right now, and they could ill afford to lose him. That's a low strike to a tall man. And the count's 1-2.
And still have Hanley Ramirez active, so to speak, because he's on the bench even though he's not able to play.
Yeah, if you just tuned in and you're looking for your Marlins medical minute, here it is. Hanley Ramirez still in treatment for the back injury, but still, as you noted, on the roster. Marlins will make a decision in the next day or two as to whether to put him on the disabled list. Josh Johnson has yet to throw a bullpen. And Chris Volstad with a sweet swing to left center field. Braun cuts it off. How about that? One of the best in the National League right now. Giovanni Gallardo has been lights out for 5 straight starts, and Volstad leads off the third with a single. There's Lomo.
All right, he's surfaced, thumbs up, he's fine. Well, remember, he also ran toward the line to make that catch on the pop fly.
Let's listen to this.
Yeah, this is needs no description when you listen.
Our Home Depot defensive play of the game. Home Depot doing more on defense. Here's Coughlin. You had a great description of that sound between innings.
It's like you're watching the World Wrestling Federation and somebody slams one of those big 280-pounders down on the mat that kind of gives a little bit. That's what it sounded like.
And that mat may give more than that wall in left field, the way it sounded. Coghlan liner. That's a base hit. Volstad stops. Morgan slipped, and Volstad's going to third. Morgan drops it. Coghlan's at second. How about that?
Well, a single for Chris Coghlan, obviously, and then an error charge to Niger Morgan. This is a beautiful swing by Cogs. Two balls hit well in the left center. Once the bobble was made, and it was made because Morgan slipped as he started to block that ball, he bobbled. Volstad went to third. He alertly saw Morgan bobble, and Chris Coghlan moved on to second.
Chris Coghlan is now 4 for 5 in his career against Giovanni Gallardo. And Bonifacio goes after the first pitch. Now, this is a tricky spot here because you don't have speed at third with Volstad. Middle infield is back. The corners are in, and a lot of that has to do with Bonifacio's bunting.
And you have to be alert if you're Chris Coghlan at second. You have to watch Volstad. You don't want to run him off the bag.
Gallardo's 0-1. Fastball, ground ball, back to him. And a big out for the Brewers. So, here's that matchup again. Giovanni Gallardo and Logan Morrison. Gallardo got the best of Morrison with a breaking ball to strike him out in the first inning.
Yeah, he got him to chase that 12-6 curveball that was out of the strike zone. See how Lomo's approach is here.
Went after a fastball, popped it up right by second, and the Marlins struggles with runners in scoring position continues.
And these were those situations last night, first and second, nobody out, nothing happening. 3 straight strikeouts. Unless Gabby Sanchez gets a big 2-out base hit here, this is an opportunity wasted
against a guy that is not giving up runs very easily. Just 5 of them in his last 5 starts.
And I can't fault Morrison for chasing the first pitch. He was looking fastball, had the cut at the fastball, popped it up.
So here's Gabby, who delivered an RBI single in the first.
See, and a guy like Gallardo, all of a sudden he can smell getting out of this inning.
It's down low. His breaking ball is so sharp, and he spots it so well. It's almost like a video game breaking ball.
Then again, Gabby can smell those RBIs too.
See what he gets. 1-1 in the dirt.
It's almost like the curveball in the pitch sequence I see on the iPad.
I'll tell you what, Gallardo can thank his catcher and should be buying him dinner tomorrow night. Jonathan Lucroy has already taken half a dozen balls in the dirt and kept him in front of the plate. Two 2-1. 2-2. Volstad single, Coghlan single. The Niger Morgan error on the Coghlan ball moved them both to second and third. But Bonifacio tapped to the pitcher. Morrison popped to the shortstop.
Not biting is Gabby Sanchez.
That's not an easy pitch to take.
Not when you have 2 strikes.
Well, how much confidence does Gallardo have in that breaking ball? Will he throw it 3-2 with runners second and third? Fastball in. Called strike 3. Gabby didn't like the call. CB Buckner doesn't agree. And the Marlins let a great opportunity go by the boards. Yep, right on the edge.
Inning on a Super Saturday. The post-game concert is the Fab Four. They bill themselves as the ultimate Beatles tribute band. And with me is Gavin, who plays George Harrison. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Now, you're actually from England. This is not a put-on accent.
No, I am actually from Liverpool, England. And I came down today because the rest of the guys in the band said that it was cricket. But it's not cricket. It's a lot more exciting than we have back home.
How long have you been a part of the band?
I've been in the band for about 7 years.
And how often do you guys play?
We play like twice a week, different places. Seen all over the state. In fact, I've been to more places in America than I've been in my own town, you know.
Well, now you play George Harrison in the band.
Yes.
How difficult is it to recreate what he was?
Oh, he's like a god, isn't he? He's just like the best. I always liked George out of all of the Beatles. I like John and Paul and Ringo, but there's something about George I really like, is the way he puts songs together, his melody lines, his slide guitars. I really like George, and so it's an honor, really.
And how big a set do you guys normally play?
It's about this big.
Maybe how many songs?
Usually we do about an hour show. Sometimes we extend it for different. It depends, like horses for courses. It depends what we're actually doing it for today. I think it's like a 60-minute show, all early Shea Stadium type songs.
Very good. Well, enjoy yourselves.
Well,
good to see you guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right, that's Gavin, who plays George Harrison as part of the Fab Four, the ultimate tribute band. Rich and Tommy, back up to you.
I like the kid in the background with the John Lennon glasses.
He does.
On.
The kid with the John Lennon glasses is awesome, isn't he?
I'll tell you.
There you go. That's playing the part.
He plays John in the early years in the band. Dobbs, tough play, safe. Ryan Braun has good speed, and he beats out an infield single. You could feel a real swing in momentum with Giovanni Gallardo getting out of the second and third and nobody out situation. And so Chris Volstad's going to have to stop that here. Now he gets Prince Fielder with Casey McGee to follow, and Braun is a base-stealing threat.
Yeah, and this is where a pitcher really has to try to do that, to try to stop that momentum. Now, on the other hand, he made a good pitch to Braun, but as you mentioned, Braun has good speed, and he beat out the infield hit. Guy looked just like George Harrison.
Interesting that they're going to play a since it is a baseball game.
The Shea Stadium set.
The Shea Stadium set.
Yeah.
One of the
I want to say that was 64, 63 or 4 or 5 maybe.
Oh.
In that range.
I think it was 66.
Like I said, in that range.
There you go. Volstad misses away. and it's 2-0.
That would be a trivia. If I were to guess, I'd say 65.
All right, let's make that our unofficial
Make
trivia.
unofficial trivia.
What year was the Marlins, or was the Beatles Shea Stadium concert? Braun's at first, Fielder waiting, and Volstead chases him back. Of course, the problem with the Beatles and concerts in those days is they didn't have the technology. They could not hear themselves sing or play because the crowd was so loud. It's one of the reasons they stopped touring.
You got me, Rich. 66.
I know my Beatles.
Nice going. Yeah, they didn't have those earplug things they could wear.
Yeah.
Kind of tone the crowd out. See, I don't have the technical term in-ear monitors. You know, I'm calling them little earplug things. But you knew what I meant.
I do. They didn't have those. They stopped touring. I think Candlestick Park was their last public concert. Boy, Volstead not getting much love back there, and it's 3-1 on a guy that you need to be real careful with, and that's Prince Fielder.
Let's see where number 4 ends up.
That just missed.
Just off the plate.
Brian Braun not running at first, and Fielder a mighty rip. It's 3-2.
Now I'm sure Braun will be running. Even though Fielder strikes out, he's a guy that will strike out. Braun, as we've mentioned, has good speed.
Fielder's one of those guys last year that, yeah, he struck out 138 times, but he walked 114 times, and his on-base percentage last year was over 400. 13 stolen bases for Braun.
A couple of Miami guys over there.
Teammates.
Yeah, talking about the tough loss the Hurricanes had this afternoon to the Gators up in Gainesville.
He's running. That's a strike. Buck's throw on the money. Double play.
Boy, that helps. A great pitch to start it. And it's always tough for a catcher because he wants to give that umpire a shot to make the call. So John Buck doesn't want to pop up too soon and block out C.B. Bucknor. There's the fastball. Comes back and catches the inside corner. Buck's throw right on the money. And that's a huge double play.
It almost looked like Braun looked up and maybe hesitated on his way to second when he heard C.B. Bucknor call strike 3. Braun actually looked up at the plate, and that may have cost him. Ron Renicky not real pleased. Here's McGee.
Well, he's doing what you need to do in that situation if you're running. You need to look. It's like a hit and run.
Let's listen and watch. A line shot, and it's Bonifacio who makes the catch. So McGee lines out, and Volstead, who's had a hand in a couple of double plays, helps himself out again. Brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. It fixes tired fast. One shot, back to work, problem solved.
I think we're going to use one of those 5 Hour Energies in that split doubleheader in Philadelphia in a couple of weeks.
Or a cheesesteak.
And, well, it goes good with a cheesesteak.
Here's our AT&T trivia question. 2 current Brewers have won the Golden Spikes Award.
That's a good one. Golden Spikes Award, awarded to the best college baseball player.
Greg Dobbs is a good college baseball player at Oklahoma. He takes a strike. Dobbs, Mike Stanton, and John Buck. Well, last night we talked about Ricky Weeks and his great career at Southern University. Ryan Braun had a great career at Miami, but I don't think he won the Golden Spikes there.
I think he'd have a little hit if you were watching Marlins live. Which it always pays to do.
The 2-1 pitch, Dobbs on the ground to Weeks, and he throws him out. Well, the Marlins had a great opportunity in the third, second and third, and nobody out. And they had their 2, 3, 4 hitters coming up. Here comes Mike Stanton. Boy, a strike to Stanton. I think Gallardo bounces that one. That first pitch to Stanton. Yeah, you can see where pitch number 1 was. That was a called strike.
Wow. A little inconsistent from C.B. Buckner tonight.
Here's the 1-1.
Because you get a pitch like that called a strike, now you're going to chase that pitch. And when you have 2 strikes on you, you're really not sure.
A strike is a precious thing against a guy like Giovanni Gallardo. 2-2. Marlins have 4 hits and a run against Gallardo. Fastball, Stanton lifts it foul. 2 strikeouts for the man they called Yo in our pregame chat with Rick Kranitz, talking about Giovanni Gallardo. He had a great quote. He said, well, you know, I just told Yo to go out and be Yo. Yo is Yo.
Well, Yo was Yo there with that nasty curveball. You know, Rick Kranitz enjoys coming to South Florida, and he was telling me before the game, here's that curveball that has gotten a lot of hitters to chase. He enjoyed watching Ricky Nolasco because he was here in '06. JJ's first year, Ricky's first year, Anibal Sanchez, no-hit year. He said he's looking forward to seeing Sanchez pitch tomorrow.
Buck. McGee across the diamond. High throw. Safe. Fielder was up. It appeared that he came down in time. And here comes Renicky like he's shot out of a cannon coming from the Brewers dugout.
Obviously, and there's no question, Prince Fielder came up. But because Buck was the runner, a first baseman can do that if he knows he has time to get back down. In Fielder's mind and in Renicky's, he's saying he got back down. Let's see if he did. He sure did. And that was a blown call. It's one of those you look at from up here and you say, yeah, it looked like he got down with the naked eye. We're not always right, though. But good hustle by John Buck.
So it's going to go as an error on Casey McGee. And here is Infante. That's in defensive meals, anytime a play is disrupted at first, ball in the dirt,
first baseman flipping to the pitcher, covering.
First baseman leaving the ground because the umpires, the mechanism for calling the out at first is to watch the base and listen for the sound of the glove. And anytime that's disrupted, that makes that call even tougher. At the knees, it's 2-1. Got Volstad on deck. The Marlins have pushed Gallardo to 62 pitches. Count evens at 2-2.
You talked about Gallardo with 3 strikeouts. He's had back-to-back seasons in 09 and last year of 200 or more strikeouts. So that gives you an indication of the kind of stuff that he has. You're not striking out guys just with one good pitch.
Fonte battling, counts 2-2. That one misses inside. Glad you're with us tonight. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton, Frank Fort, Jeff Conine, Larry Beinfest. Marlins president of baseball operations will be joining us in the 5th inning. We have a lot of questions.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
It's a walk. And so Volstad's going to get another AB against Gallardo. He's going to have to throw some more pitches here in the 4th inning. Among the topics I'm sure that we'll get into, certainly the Buster Posey, Ryan Sabian discussion.
Talk about Josh Johnson, Hanley Ramirez,
Clay Hensley, and the draft is coming up next week, so it's a good time for Larry to be stopping by.
Can we get all that in one inning?
Volstad fouls it back. Chris lined a ball in the gap for a base hit. It was back in the 3rd. Chris Coughlin then came up and chased Volstad all the way to 3rd on his shot up the middle that Niger Morgan misplayed. But the Marlins couldn't cash in. They couldn't get a run in. Bonifacio, Morrison, and Gabby Sanchez. 0-2. Got to see the breaking ball, and he was on it. Some games finishing up in the National League. The Cardinals in extra innings beat the Cubs on what looks like a walk-off shot by Albert Pujols, his 2nd homer of the ball game. That'll change the division if he starts to heat up.
King Albert starting to heat up.
The Dodgers in extra innings beat Cincinnati 11-8. Volstad strikes out, and the inning is over. Marlins lead 2 more. 1-1 after 4. as we head to the 5th inning. Chris Volstad, a nice night so far on the mound. Joining us now, the president of baseball operations for the Florida Marlins, Larry Beinfest, in the booth. And for you, a very busy week. We got a lot of questions for you. And first and foremost, let's start with the Scott Cousins, Buster Posey, and everything that's happened over the last 24 hours from Brian Sabian's comments to what's occurred up until now.
Well, first and foremost, let's start with another easy ho-hummer here at the ballpark. Another easy game. But, Rich, I think everything's been said. I know there was a lot out there, and we really don't have anything to add. And it happened. Buster Posey's hurt. Nobody feels good about that. But, what happened. I think organizationally we've handled things well. I think Scott has handled things well. And unfortunately, Buster's hurt, and it's part of the game, and we feel bad about that.
True that the Giants did reach out to you and David Sampson over the last 24 hours?
Yeah, I really don't want to get to the ins and outs. There's been some communication. Obviously the Giants made a statement, and that's their business, and we've kind of moved on and done our thing, Rich. And, I was there. I was there with you guys in San Francisco when it happened. We won that ball game. It was a tough play, and what happened. I think it's time for everybody to move on.
Yeah, the bottom line, I think the Marlins have handled it extremely professionally.
I do. I think Scott's handled it well. It's been very hard on him. I think Edwin, our guys, I think as the organization, we recognize the magnitude of the injury, but at the same time, we recognize it's part of the game. Scott did his job, and we all have to move on.
How about, we get a lot of questions. We got a lot of emails on Tuesday. A lot of people are wondering about the status of JJ, Josh Johnson.
He's feeling well. He still is not thrown off the mound. But part of it is just caution, Tommy. I mean, we want to make sure that JJ, recognizing the pitcher and what he means to this team and how much of the season we still have left, we want to make sure he's 100%. He wants to make sure he's 100%. So we're not going to rush this. Is there a timetable? I'm not sure that there really is right now. I mean, we are contemplating bringing up a pitcher for Tuesday to make that start. I don't think we're going to go with time. It's something we're still kind of working through, but I think we will bring up somebody from the minors. At least that's what we're discussing right now.
Here's the 1-0 pitch to Niger Morgan. Morgan homered back in the 3rd inning, and that's the only blemish on the night of Chris Volstad. 2-0 pitch coming, and it's down low. Hanley Ramirez, where does he sit right now with his health?
He's feeling better as well. But he has not been doing a lot baseball-wise over the past week. He's trying to get whatever soreness he has out of the back, and he is feeling better. Again, I'm not quite sure of his timetable. We've put this off and hope that he would feel better and be able to get back in the lineup, and we're just taking it day to day and really leaving it up to him to give us some feedback on the back.
You have to, Larry, feel pleased at the job that Edwin's done with a short bench, dealing with the bullpen game. Not too long ago, he's had a mix and match a lot.
Well, going out west for 9 games is always tough. And we've had some unfortunate things happen to us, which happens during the course of a season. And we're really not short right now in that we brought up Ozzie, and, we only have 4 starters. So we have our full complement of players. We're just without that 5th starter right now. But he has had to mix and match a little bit. And, we've played a lot of competitive games. We had some tough games in Arizona and some tough games in L.A., and, we came up short, but we've won a bunch of those games as well. So on the positive side, I mean, we're in all these games. And I was kidding earlier. Here we are again, 1-1 tonight.
Yeah, we had the one blowout in Phoenix.
And that was about it.
Yeah.
And, if that was happening continually, you'd have to reevaluate things and say, wow, maybe we're a little short, maybe we need to do this or that. But we're in every game. And if we can get healthy, I mean, let's those are 2 huge pieces for this ball club, and we need them back in JJ and Hanley.
Logan Morrison runs down that line drive, and Chris Volstad has put 5 nice innings in the books. Back with Larry Beinfest. 1-1. let's see if Larry Beinfest can get our AT&T trivia question tonight. 2 current Brewers have won the Golden Spikes Award. Who are they? Don't look. Don't show it yet.
Ryan Braun.
Nope.
Okay, then I'm out. But I lost it. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? So.
Mark Kotze and Ricky Weeks.
All right.
But Ryan Braun was the freshman of the year at Miami, so he did have some hardware himself. Here's Chris Coughlin, who is 2 for 2 tonight and is 4 for 5 in his career against Giovanni Gallardo, and he lines one into left. So Coughlin is 3 for 3. Marlins have their leadoff man aboard. Now let's see if they can get him over and get him in.
You know, Tommy, that's what he hasn't been doing of late.
I hate to use the term, but there are times I've said, all of a sudden, that's the Chris Coughlin of 2009, his rookie year.
No doubt. We didn't see that on the road trip, and it's good to see him go the other way because that's who he is.
Here is Emilio Bonifacio now. Bonifacio, the other day someone asked us, how are the Marlins winning ball games because so many guys are having off years, and 2 of the guys I mentioned, Greg Dobbs at third base and Emilio Bonifacio, and without the contributions of those 2 guys, the Marlins would not be at 31-24.
I don't think there's any question. He does so much for this ball club, and look at the 262 average. Yeah, that's fine. But how about shortstop one day, center field the next, third base the next, scoring from first base on a double? You know, any number of things that he can do, and he's such an upbeat guy. I know that we all get the pleasure of hanging around him, but he's just a fun guy, and he's a winner in a lot of ways, and he has meant a lot to this team. But you hit it on the head. Without Gabby and Greg Dobbs and Emilio Bonifacio, obviously, you know, some of the struggles we've had in other areas would be a lot worse for us.
Well, the middle of the lineup's been terrific with Morrison and Gabby, now Stanton. But
it's an interesting, talking about Bonifacio, with the draft coming up, it's an interesting concept because you probably don't look in the draft for a guy that's going to do what Bonifacio has done for this ball club.
Yeah, well, you look for speed.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But the ability to play 8 positions.
Hit and run, and it's in the air, and Coughlin has to retreat to first.
I mean, yeah, you're looking for, you know, as high a top-end talent as you can find, Tommy, but the speed component is obviously something that we covet. But you have to just be special to be able to do what he does, and we've been blessed here because Zemezika was able to do the same thing that Bonnie's doing for us now, and it's rare in this game, and I think they're coveted, and we very much appreciate him.
Here comes Logan Morrison to the plate. We have a lot of email questions on Tuesday night about Matt Dominguez and his progress. What's the update on him?
Well, the good news is he's hit 3 home runs in the last 2 games. I don't know what he's done so far tonight for New Orleans, but that's a good sign. He's making adjustments down there. He's only had about 60 at-bats, and that's not even really a spring training. So we're going to have to give Matt some time, but to see a little bit of power and to see him get multiple hits, I think he went 4 for 4 on Thursday night. That's nice to see.
Is there a number of games, or is it just more how you feel he's settled in?
I think, you know, there's no magic formula. He'll kind of tell us when he's ready, and you know. But Greg Dobbs is doing an unbelievable job for us over at third base and hitting 340 in this lineup. So we're going to give time to Matt to get him ready.
Coughlin is thrown out by a bunch by Jonathan Lucroy, and so the Marlins.
Well,
the
Marlins
leadoff single end up with nobody on and 2 outs.
They've had so many opportunities fizzle, where they've had runners on or a runner caught. In this case, Chris Coughlin thrown out. I would guess a straight steal and a perfect throw by Lucroy.
So Morrison gets a 1-1 pitch, and it's 2-1.
Matt Dominguez 0 for 1 with a walk tonight.
Thank you.
Against Nashville.
So he hasn't homered yet.
Our crack staff is all over the place. Yeah.
2-1 coming to Morrison. We heard it 2-3 years ago, and every year we heard it as Logan Morrison came up your organization, that every team he had been on, he had been the leader, and not a rah-rah guy, but just by sheer guts and how hard he plays. And we're seeing it here at the big league level. That one's smacked into right. You got another half inning in you?
Sure.
All right, cool. Caught there by Hart. We'll talk about the draft. We'll talk about this 2011 season in a 1-1 game. playcatch.com. It's your chance to enter the Play Catch with Gabby sweepstakes. 2 lucky winners will be selected. And you can play catch on the field with Gabby prior to the June 21st game against the Angels. Log on to JiffyLubeCatch.com today. Jiffy Lube, the official oil change of the Marlins. Giovanni Gallardo leads it off. Ricky Weeks, Corey Hart to follow. There's another way you can play catch with Gabby if you don't win the sweepstakes. You can get drafted by the Marlins coming up next week and then eventually work your way up, maybe in spring training, play catch with Gabby.
I remember when Gabby was drafted. It was not that long ago, and he has turned himself into one of the best first basemen in the National League and done a great job for us. And I want to say that Gabby was in the same draft as our starting pitcher tonight, and
05
turned out to be a pretty good draft.
Bolstad was taken 16th overall.
The type of thing, when you saw Gabby, where did you project him as a position player?
Well, you know, we initially we thought about catching him, and he spent some time in the minor league catching, and some time over at third base, and then eventually found his way to first. And it was a lot like Josh Willingham when we had him coming up through our system. Kind of similar players in a lot of ways, very good hitters, and needed to find their place on the field. And Josh found it in left field, and Gabby found it at first base.
Where are you slotted this year? What selection do you have?
We're at 14, so almost right in the middle of the pack. And I was up in Jupiter today with our scouts, with Jim Fleming and Stan Meek, who do a great job. All you have to do is look on the field to see some of our draft picks and what our development people have done. But, you know, you look at the board, and there's, you know, some 300 names on the board, and they're going through it, and you listen in on the conversations. But we just have great confidence in our scouting staff and the job they've done.
I know you always, as an organization, the Marlins have always been great at going after pitchers and also going after athletes. Is it whoever available, or do you have any particular order?
Yeah, generally, if it is an absolute tie, we'll break the tie with pitching, and we'll go with the pitching. If it's Mike Stanton, we're taking Mike Stanton in the second round, which is still a great windfall for this organization. But we will break ties with pitching. It's something that we believe in. You can never have enough of it, and it really what drives success is the pitching, and it's tough to find.
What seems to be at a premium this year throughout baseball in the draft? Is it college pitching? Are there college position players?
You know, I'm probably not as close to the draft. If you ask Jim that question, he'd give you a better answer. But I saw a good bit of the available talent, and I'd say it's a deep draft. It's spread evenly. I saw some great-looking high school arms, saw some great-looking college arms, some good-looking college position players both ways. So depending on your philosophies, I think there's something for everybody in this draft.
Good play here by Chris Volstad, but has the change in the bats that they've been using at the college level, I think high school has been or going to, has that made it a little different or made it easier?
Our scouts say it is a truer evaluation. Yeah. The ball isn't jumping off the aluminum. They did some tweaking to the aluminum. I don't know if I want to use the word deadened it, but it's not flying the way it was, so it's closer to a wood bat, which is helpful in the evaluation process. And you know, I have a son who's in Little League, and I watch him wail with those aluminum bats, and it's tough to get a read on anything because it's much different than wood.
You're already scouting your son's Little League. I like that.
Why not?
Very nice. Larry Beinfest, President of Baseball Operations, thanks for the visit. Good luck with the draft, and good luck the rest of the night.
Thank you, guys. Let's get some runs.
All right, thanks, Larry.
middle of the 6th inning. Frank Fort, along with Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton. Rich and Tommy mentioned before that Gabby Sanchez and Ryan Braun, ex-Miami Hurricanes, in fact, teammates. And if you go back to the 2004 and 2005 seasons from Miami, 6 players from those teams are now in the major leagues, in addition to Ryan Gabby, John Jay of the Cardinals, Danny Valencia, the starting third baseman of the Twins, Chris Perez of Cleveland, who's second in the American League in saves right now, and Scott Maine of the Chicago Cubs. So, guys, think about that. Half the position players off those 2 Miami teams are now in the big leagues. And by the way, on Marlins Live tomorrow, starting at 12:30, we're going to have an interview with Ryan Braun, a wide-ranging interview, in fact. Rich and Tommy?
A wide-ranging line drive into right field by Gabby Sanchez. And again, the Marlins have their leadoff runner aboard. They've been able to do that in 5 innings. And yet they have just 1 run. So we'll see if the 6th inning can produce a run. Here's Greg Dobbs.
They have to try to keep the fizzle away this inning and get something going, get a key base hit. Just 1 for 6 tonight with runners in scoring position. 3 for 18 in the series.
Dobbs has flied out, bounced out. Actually, 4 of the 6 innings now with leadoff base hits. Then you got Stanton around the bend against Gallardo. That's on the bag, and it's a fair ball. The throw to second is not in time. Actually, that's a tag play.
Yeah, once Fielder stepped on the bag, it eliminates that force, so it becomes a tag play. So good hustle by Gabby to get there and get himself in scoring position. Good play by Fielder. He's got it right on the line. And ideally, you'd like to get the out at second, but he's so off balance and so close to the bag, he gets the out and then tries to get the out at second.
That shows you, for his size, he's 5'11", 275, 280. He's a very good athlete, and he's turned himself into a pretty good first baseman. Breaking ball in the dirt. Mike Stanton is up. Gabby Sanchez is in scoring position. Fielder last year made just 4 errors at first base.
Oh, he's very good. And so, you know what? So was his dad. So was Cecil. Big guy, but very soft hands. Scooped the ball out of the dirt well.
Looks like he's doing a little yoga down there at first base.
He does do that in the offseason.
Here's the 1-0. Stanton off the end of the bat, bounces it out towards Weeks. And he just gets Stanton. So the Marlins are where they've been all night, 90 feet away from another run. And here is John Buck. .12:30 start for Marlins Live tomorrow in high definition. And it's an Anibal Sanchez start. You don't want to miss that. Chris Narveson, the left-hander, will be pitching for the Milwaukee Beer Makers.
Anibal Sanchez coming off a great month of May. Coming off a couple of good starts, too.
Want to know to John Buck. Buck reached on an error in the 4th. Flied out in the 2nd. 6 hits against Giovanni Gallardo.
You know, Gallardo has been got a little competition this year, though. He's been their most valuable pitcher for the Brewers the last 2 years. But I think with the additions of Greinke and Markham,
threw a fastball by him, and it's 1-2. And that's always been the piece of the puzzle that Milwaukee has really struggled to put together, and that is a lights-out rotation.
A few years back, I remember they gave a pretty good contract to kind of a journeyman guy, Jeff Suppan, to help in that role, and that didn't work out.
Remember that pitch right there, that fastball on the inside corner. Just missed. Of course, they had what? A 2-month rental, so to speak, of CC Sabathia.
It was a very good rental.
got him in the postseason. It's up and in, and they continue to pound Buck inside. 3-2. There's Infante. Gabby Sanchez is at third base with 2 outs. (3-2) in the dirt, and Buck takes the walk.
John Buck this year has now drawn 20 walks. Last year, over 400 at bats. He had 16 with the Toronto Blue Jays. CC Sabathia in 17 starts was 11-2 with a 1.65 ERA.
And I think the last 2 weeks of the season, did he work on 3 days rest?
All the time. And then moved on to the Yankees, became a 19-game winner there the next year, won 21 the next year with the Yankees.
Here's Infante now at the corners. And a breaking ball for a strike. The Marlins are 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position tonight. I believe that makes them 7 for their last 51.
Yeah, 3 for 19 just in this series. So that's a lot of opportunities.
Marlins have to get an arm up in the bullpen quickly because Volstad is on deck. And that's just in case Infante were to reach.
I think if Infante were to reach by a base hit and drive in a run,
yes,
then Volstad will hit.
Agreed. But if he were to walk or somehow get to first and load the bases, you don't want Volstad coming up, even though he's pitched brilliantly.
Yeah, just 70 pitches for Chris.
0-2. Check swing. Did not go. That's a tough take on the Gallardo breaking ball. Well, Volstad's at 70 pitches. Giovanni Gallardo is at 93. Ground ball. McGee kicks it across the diamond. Safe. He's off the bag, and the Marlins get a run.
Boy, second time McGee has thrown high at first base. He tried to really rush it after he bobbled and then uncorked a high throw to Prince Fielder. No argument this time from Fielder. McGee is upset with himself because he initially bobbled this ball. Watch the bobble. Now he picks and tries to fire. There's the throw. Again, very close, but I think Fielder this time was off the bag. Marlins got the call the last time when John Buck was the runner.
Here's a look in Foxmo. Remember, Fielder is only 5'11".
Off the bag.
Wow, that's close.
That's close. I had a couple of tough calls for Jerry Meals down there at first base.
So it'll be another error. And as you surmised, if the Marlins score the run, Volstad gets to hit. They score the run, Volstad gets to hit. One and 0 to Chris. Singled back in the third. He struck out in the fourth. It's hardly fair throwing a pitcher a 1-0 breaking ball.
Yeah, especially a good one like that. Well, he saw what Chris can do when he lined that single into left center back in the third inning.
John Buck, Omar Infante aboard.
Casey McGee, by the way, that was his 9th error, and that's the most amongst National League third basemen.
Here comes the 2-1. 2-2. Another one-run game. Marlins on top here in the bottom of the 6th. A run across. Gallardo already has 9 decisions this year. He's 7-2. Oh, goodness. To a tall man.
Mr. Buckner, he's 6'8".
That is a low, low strike. It's a big call, too.
Wow.
That's awful.
Yeah, that is awful. And that's not the first time tonight either.
Schwartz, Tommy Hutton, Frank Fort. Tickets of America interactive poll. Most famous native of Milwaukee.
Oh.
Richie Cunningham, Liberace, astronaut Jim Lovell, Bob Uecker, Mr. Baseball, or Gene Wilder. Apparently Laverne and Shirley and Fonzie did not make the cut. Or Brett Favre, although he doesn't live there.
And not a native. These are natives. Native Milwaukeeans. I think I know who will be the winner there.
I go with Gene Wilder simply because I love young Frankenstein. But I'm surprised that Frederick Miller's name is not on there. I mean, the founder of Miller Beer, Frederick Miller.
Well, I think when you see the eventual winner there, he probably had a lot of Miller Beer.
Big inning now for Volstad because he has both Braun and Fielder to open it, and then McGee completes the trio.
It's the kind of inning that you'd love to see Chris Volstad take charge, get through this 7th inning. He still has a lot left. Came into this inning with 70 pitches. But as you pointed out, Rich, he's got some tough outs.
Missed with a 2-1 pitch. Ryan Braun among our leaders of the game, presented by JM Lexus. Hit leaders since 07. Only Ichiro has more hits. JM Lexus price made us #1. Click jmlexus.com to find out how. Braun didn't like that breaking ball. Count full now, 3-2.
Last time I checked because I know the Marlins would be playing the Mariners. Ichiro was hitting in the 260s.
Bonifacio almost knocked over by that one, and he throws Braun out. Ryan Braun scorched it.
Larry Beinfest said it best with Bonifacio, number one, and you and I were talking about it, I think, last night. He comes to the park with that great attitude, great smile. He looks at the lineup to see what position he's going to be playing, and wherever he plays, he just makes the plays.
Here is Prince Fielder. Volstad walked him in the second, struck him out in the fourth. Starts him with a good breaking ball. It's 0-1. Hits that one to left center field and hits it deep. Morrison goes back. He looks up. That ball is gone. This game is tied. Prince Fielder with his 13th homer. That ties him with his teammate Ryan Braun and the Marlins' Mike Stanton for second in the National League.
Boy, it kind of shows you the power that Prince Fielder has just to loft that ball the other way. He doesn't have to try to pull it. He's got that good trajectory and launches it into left center field with enough height, enough power to just get it out.
To center, Coughlin lines it up. And then Volstad has the second out of the 7th inning. So it went from 1-1 to 2-2. Here's Jonathan Lucroy. The Phillies are in Pittsburgh tonight and at the bottom of the 6th. Pittsburgh has a 4-2 lead.
Phillies continue to struggle scoring runs.
And they've lost 3 in a row. The Mets in Atlanta are playing a scoreless game at Citi Field, and that's in the bottom of the 7th.
Jair Jurgens looking for his 8th win. Came in that game 7-1.
Bonifacio knocks it down, and his throw will be late. Kind of misjudged that a little bit on the dive, and it's going to end up as a single. But I think if you ask Emilio, he'll tell you he probably should have had it.
Yeah, not an easy play, but he got there. And maybe, all right, I need all the English teachers out there. Overdived, that would be the correct way. It doesn't sound right. Overdove sounds better. But got him on the heel of the glove. And, yeah, he would tell you he needs to make that play.
Outkicked his coverage.
Prince Fielder this year has hit 2 home runs to left, 5 to center, and 6 to right.
He's kind of like Ryan Howard in that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's the kind of money he's going to be looking for next year, too.
Yes.
Ryan Howard type money.
Ryan Webb getting ready in the Marlins pen. Yuniesky Betancourt is the batter. Count 1-0 to the Brewers shortstop. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Brewers. 2 runs, 6 hits for the Marlins. The Brewers have committed 3 errors. Ball's pretty well hit. Left center field. Morrison looks up. That ball's off the wall. Racing for third is Lucroy. And he's going to come in and score. And the Brewers take a 3-2 lead.
We're just not expecting a couple of guys that have been struggling. Lucroy came into his at bat, 1 for his last 20. And remember, a ball that really should have been caught by Bonifacio. And then you're not looking at Betancourt to hit one off the left center field wall to drive home Jonathan Lucroy. But that's exactly what happened. And all of a sudden, just like that, the Brewers have taken the lead.
Here's Niger Morgan now. Betancourt at second.
Nigel Morgan, still remembered well here in South Florida.
Ball in the dirt, and he gets back behind Buck. Betancourt, big turn. He's 90 feet away.
Morgan will try to bunt occasionally. So you get a man at third, that makes that a little more possible.
Dobbs creeping in at third. Gabby at first. Morgan a chopper towards Infante. On to first. The Brewers come up with 2 runs here in the 7th inning stretch. Milwaukee by 1.
Presentado por KFC. Bueno, ha cambiado esto de pronto, ¿ah, Cookie?
Hi, guys.
Efectivamente.
Hey,
Hi,
fellas,
Tommy,
what's going
Richie.
on?
How are you?
Good, good. The Marlins still struggling getting guys in. And Prince Fielder, Marlins just can't keep him in the yard right now.
Wow. Absolutely. I mean, he has hit a couple of home runs, one yesterday, one today. But I think you're right. I think that we had opportunity to score. Off of Gallardo, we man on first and second, nobody out. We couldn't score.
Well, that's the thing. You look at, I know you and I talked about this, Cookie, before the game. You have a tendency to look at the pitching late in the game or the bullpen, be it a starter or the bullpen, but you forget about opportunities earlier in the game to score.
Well, that's the difference of the game tonight. If you give a couple of runs early in the game to Volta, the way he was pitching tonight with good command on his fastball, his breaking ball, his changeup, that would have been a lot of difference. But now in the last inning, again, the home runs come back and hurt him a lot.
LaTroy Hawkins coming into the ball game. Good luck the rest of the way, gents.
Thanks, guys. You
All
too.
right, you too, guys.
Enjoy the Beatles tonight, too.
For sure.
Well, you talk about a veteran. 38-year-old LaTroy Hawkins, 16th year as a major league pitcher, can still throw hard and has a lot to offer. He's not a guy who comes in with a couple of pitches. I mean, he cuts it, has a splitter, he'll use a curveball, and he's been with a whole lot of teams.
Chris Coughlin is 3 for 3 tonight.
Chris wanted to see
Gallardo
one more time.
Coughlin came in 2 for 3 against Gallardo, and he now is 5 for 6 against him. Hawkins backs Coughlin off the plate. Counts 2-1. Giovanni Gallardo, the starter in this one, lifted after his 6th. The Brewers bullpen was good last night. Zach Braddock in the pen right now.
We're back in the late 90s. LaTroy Hawkins, a part of the Twins rotation as a starter. And then as he moved on, he settled into a role as the role he's in now, working out of the bullpen. And a couple of times with different teams, he's been in that closer role. So he's done a little bit of everything in this game.
He's 3-2 on Chris Coghlan, leading off the bottom of the 7th. Coghlan does not go. Drops the bat. Oh, they say he went. Third base umpire Dan Iasonia said strike 3 that Coghlan committed.
Well, that's such a ticky-tacky call. That's a call that you see made more nowadays than you saw 20, 30 years ago. 20, 30 years ago, that was a check swing.
And maybe what that is giving a little something back to the pitcher in a game that seems to have made every advance to hitters. Smaller ballparks.
That's a possibility, yeah.
Smaller strike zone.
Absolutely.
Smaller bats, lighter bats, stronger players. Maybe that's a little something that the pitchers have gotten back in the exchange.
I think in the last collective bargaining agreement, the pitchers,
the Pitchers Guild went to
Pitchers
bat
Guild.
for it.
They went, and that's what they got. Yeah.
Here's the 0-1. Rick Kranitz checking on his lefty in the pen. Maybe going to get someone else up. His bullpen coach Stan Kyle's on the other end.
Yeah, I don't think they have a lefty in their bullpen. They didn't as of last night. That's what I was told.
Fastball misses up.
So don't always believe what somebody tells you. Just off the disabled list. So last night they did not have a left-hander.
Things change fast around here.
They do, yeah.
Bonifacio fouls it back and out of play. Marlins trying to get a base runner here. Thought they had one with Chris Coghlan. Hawkins got the strikeout. Now he's 2-2 on Bonifacio. Last night, the Marlins saw Sergio Mitre, Tim Dillard, Mike McClendon, and then the closer of the Brewers, John Axford, for an adventurous save in the 9th inning. Walked the bases loaded before striking out Brett Hayes to end it. Bonifacio chops it, backing up Betancourt, and he makes the play. Marlin fans, you can stop in any Metro PCS store in Miami, Broward, or Palm Beach before July 10th and register to win a trip for 2 to see the Marlins play in San Diego August 19th through the 21st. You go to the Tin Fish and get some good fish tacos, too. The trip includes airfare, hotel, and tickets to all 3 games. Don't wait. Stop by your local Metro PCS store today. Metro PCS, wireless for all.
Rich and I will show you right where that Tin Fish is, too.
Well, off the disabled list and into the ball game. Zach Braddock comes in. Here's a Rooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck, or van, who you gonna call? Rooney!
Road games only twice this season. As we've talked about, they're a very good home team and not so good on the road. But they have a chance here, leading the Marlins in the bottom of the 7th. 3-2 Milwaukee on top. And here is Zach Braddock, a New Jersey lefty who had Tommy John surgery in high school.
Well, you see that, I think, more than you should nowadays, but yeah, it happens quite frequently. You can see that he's tough and a lot of times used in these situations against lefties. Watching him warm up, lots of fastballs and sliders. Logan Morrison was watching intently to see what this left-hander has.
He's been on the disabled list since early May with a sleep disorder. It's not something you see on the injury wires often.
That's easy to get with some of the travel we have.
Yes. Oh, 1 pitch. Morrison takes outside.
Lomo yet to reach base tonight.
34 straight. That's the longest on base streak in the big leagues. Fastball, popped it up. McGee under it, and he makes the catch. And the Brewers bullpen, Hawkins and Braddock go 1, 2, 3 in the 7th. The better defensive plays of the night. Logan Morrison. I'm just waiting for the sound after it was frozen.
Sound like the Edge crashing into John Cena.
Oh no. Frostbrewed Coors Light freeze cam. You are a Renaissance man. NASCAR, wrestling, fine arts. There's Ryan Webb.
Ryan Webb coming in to work this 8th inning. You see the numbers on Ryan. He came back, had a nice appearance coming in the game last night to get an out. And he faces an old friend. Craig Counsell comes in to pinch hit for the Brewers. It's hard to believe that Craig Counsell is 40 years old.
And listen to the fans saluting Craig Counsell. Of course, Counsell scoring the winning run for the Marlins' first World Championship back in 1997. He's been a lot of places since. Had some big moments after that. There he is out on the wall.
You know, when he was acquired in '97, he played 51 games. He played pretty much the rest of the way and hit 299 during that time and made the plays.
Up the middle, Counsell delivers a pinch hit.
And got big hit after big hit.
Well, he's a guy that, as you know, the other day we were talking about Kirk Gibson and his 2 dramatic home runs in World Series play. The walk-off shot against Eckersley and then the big home run against Goose Gossage as a Tiger. Counsell was involved in 2 Game 7 walk-off rallies, obviously with the Marlins, but he had a big sac fly in that 9th inning Arizona Diamondback rally.
And a big sac fly in 97.
Weeks. Outside corner from Webb.
And ironically, for Craig Counsell, his World Series numbers as far as batting average, his numbers aren't very good.
No, but
he had key moments, and his league championship series numbers are awesome.
Yeah, he was actually the MVP of the 2001 National League Championship Series. Webb has gone 0-1 on Ricky Weeks. Bouncer to third. Dobbs, Infante, and Weeks, who runs very well, beats it. So now you got Corey Hart, Ryan Braun, and if they reach Prince Fielder, this is not an easy area to navigate. If Fielder does get to the plate, you've got Randy Choate up in the bullpen right now.
And don't forget about Weeks at first base. Choate and Cishek getting loose.
Runner goes, swing and a miss. Buck's throw is high, sails into center, and Weeks will hold there.
Yeah, Weeks wasn't going to waste any time. He eliminates a double play possibility, plus gets himself in scoring position. And for Ricky Weeks, his 7th steal now on the year. Big swing by Hart, so tough for a catcher to come up and make that throw. Plus Weeks got a good jump.
Corey Hart is 0 for 3. Greenwood, Kentucky. Hart with the count 1-1. Weeks, outstanding speed at second. Webb gets another strike, and it's 1-2. Chris Volstad 7 innings tonight, and he ended up giving up the 3 runs on 6 hits. Volstad walked 1, struck out 4. 2 solo homers. Prince Fielder and Niger Morgan, of all people.
Just the 5th career home run for Morgan.
Of course, last night the Milwaukee Brewers had a couple of home runs. They were not solo shots. Both were 2-run homers. Fielder again, and Ryan Braun. Weeks dancing away from second.
Tell you what the Marlins are going to have to get out of, and it hasn't happened a lot, but psychologically you get in that mode, and it happens really without thinking about it. You get in that mode, you're going to find a way to lose a game. Stay close. When you're on a roll and playing well, you get into a close game like this, you find a way to win the game. And the Marlins right now are on the other side of that. They need to get out of that. And certainly it's possible.
Struck him out. Now Hart's upset.
Well, I just flat out say it. C.B. Buckner's had a bad game both sides. But he's got both teams barking at him. That's usually a good indication.
Well, that's
close, though.
That's at the knees and on the black.
That's just a perfect pitch by Ryan Webb.
So give C.B. Buckner credit on that one.
He still hasn't had a real good night, though.
Well, here's Braun. Ryan Braun tonight has bounced out twice and has an infield single. A 1-1 pitch from Leo Nunez last night, a fastball, an ill-fated fastball that Braun hit in the seats, up in the blue seats. It erased a one-run Marlin lead in the ninth and gave the Brewers a much-needed road win. Braun is near the top of just about every important statistical category in the National League. He's tied now with Fielder and Mike Stanton and Matt Kemp at 13 homers. Unless Kemp has homered at all today.
Kemp homered twice today.
Oh, well then.
Kemp has 15.
Forget about it.
Kemp hit 2.
He's got 15 now. Braun with 42 RBIs. That has him 4th in the National League. He's 3rd in slugging percentage. Up close and personal, Jonathan Lucroy.
That looks like our booth cam.
Here's the 2-2, or the 2-0 rather, and it's a strike, and then now it's 2-1.
To show you how consistent Ryan Braun has been since his debut in May of 07.
That thing on?
Yeah, and I have to look at notes on this.
Is that on?
Since his debut in May of 07, he's 2nd in the major leagues in total bases, 2nd in extra base hits, 3rd in hits, 6th in RBIs, and 8th in home runs. So he's been on all those lists ever since he's broken in, which was in May of 07.
And you know what? We were talking the other day about Robin Yount. He is Robin Yount. He's the modern day Robin Yount. With his contract signed through 2021, he's going to play in Milwaukee his entire career, it looks like. He's got restaurants up there. He's in the community.
He does. I remember last year we talked to him about the restaurants that he has.
And he eats there. Stop by.
Let's try and go there this year.
Yeah, let's
have
lunch.
When do we go to Milwaukee? Not till the very end of September.
Yeah, the Packers will be in full flight.
We go to Milwaukee September 23rd, 24th, and 25th, the last weekend of the season.
If we wanted to, we could make Lucroy our dugout correspondent here. Webb misses down low. Ryan Braun tomorrow on Marlins Live with Frank Ford. And he'll talk about the restaurants, talk about Miami. If he could ever lead the Brewers to a World Series win, he could reach Brett Favre status up there. Of course, the Brewers have only been in the World Series once, and they lost to the St. Louis Cardinals back in 1982. Was that the Sun Series? Is that what they called it? St. Louis
with
and
St.
Milwaukee?
Louis. Sure, you had the big breweries going at it.
Budweiser and Miller.
Paul Molitor had a great series.
Three-two ground ball. Infante to first, and Ryan Webb finishes the 8th. Marlins down a run in the bottom of the 8th. 12:30 for Marlins Live. And then on Monday night, Braves are in for 3. Diamondbacks are in for 4. Narveson and Anibal Sanchez tomorrow. And then Zach Greinke and Javier Vasquez on Monday. Just as we look at the Marlins' upcoming schedule, you can live forward with Just for Men hair color. 8th inning guy for the Brewers is in now, and that's Cameron Lowe. Lowe, last time out, gave up a 2-run homer to Joey Votto. He got a blown save and a loss in that ball game in Cincinnati.
You hear the term often with sinker ball pitchers that he has a bowling ball type sinker. That means it's heavy when he keeps it down. A lot of ground balls. He has a slurvy breaking ball that goes along with it. But basically, he throws that heavy sinker.
Gabby Sanchez, Greg Dobbs, Mike Stanton. Bottom 8, Marlins down a run. Cameron Lowe, you see the drop on that thing. This is inside, and it's 1-1 to Gabby Sanchez. Gabby fouls it back, 1-2. Cameron Lowe out of Southern California, Granada Hills High School, Cal State Northridge. Ron Renicky, Rick Kranitz. 2-2 coming. Ground ball off McGee's glove, and it rolls into left field. And Gabby Sanchez has 3 singles on the night. And once again, the Marlins have their leadoff runner aboard.
Well, just to the left of McGee, tried to make that diving stab. The ball skipped off his glove. He didn't get it. Gabby gets the base hit. 3rd base hit of the night.
Five times the Marlins have had their leadoff runner aboard on a base hit. Cameron Lowe, you know, Granada Hills High School jumped out at me, and I said, somebody else that we know is from Granada Hills High School. Ryan Braun is from Granada Hills High School.
This is a guy now with that good sinker. If you're a left-handed hitter like Greg Dobbs, you have to have the approach that we've seen him have all year. Dobbs staying back, getting that ball in the air, a little line drive into left center. If he rolls over, tries to pull him, he'll get himself in a little trouble.
Also produced a college outfielder that could throw the football a little bit, John Elway,
who played a year or two of minor league ball. Left-handed hitting outfielder.
Sarge went there. Gary Matthews. Actually, it looks like Gary Matthews Jr. Would that be Sarge Jr.?
That'd be Lieutenant.
Gabby's at first. 1-1 coming. Inside corner, 1-2. Mike Stanton's on deck. Cameron Lowe to the plate. Change up at 88. It's fouled back. There's Stanton.
It's that one area, too. Not that it's going to matter after Dobbs, but Ron Renicky has already used his left-hander. We saw Zach Braddock last inning.
1-2 again to Greg Dobbs. Lines it down the left field line.
Well, I tell you, they are really giving Dobbs that line. Casey McGee, the third baseman, is almost playing it short. They almost have a Ryan Howard type shift on with Dobbs up there. Dobbs has all kinds of room up that way. Looks easy when you draw the line. So they don't have the shortstop on the other side of second base.
Hits it to left, and Braun is there to make the catch.
Well, that's a good swing, too. Good approach. I don't think I've seen any other team align their defense that way with Dobbs up there.
You know, the odd thing there is if the ball was hit to Betancourt's right, there's no way they turn two because Weeks would never get to the bag. Lucroy out to talk to Lowe. And here's Mike Stanton. Pittsburgh 5-2 over the Phillies in the 8th in Pittsburgh. Here tonight, Marlins scored first. Got a run in the bottom of the first on a Gabby Sanchez RBI single. Niger Morgan with a solo homer in the third to tie it. Stanton swings at one of those sinkers.
Tell you what, Clint Hurdle has those Pirates playing pretty well. If they win that game tonight, they'll get to one game under 500. And they're ahead of the Cubs and the Astros in that Central Division.
Stanton fouls that one back. That's another city that the Marlins don't get to, I believe, until September.
Yeah, earlier September, 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Now the 0-2. And Stanton takes a hack, and that thing bottom just dropped right out of it. Here comes Buck.
There's that bowling ball type sinker. Wow. Hard and heavy. And you saw the pattern of those pitches to Stanton.
And Buck can't lay off that same pitch.
One of the things, I mean, again, it's easier to say than to do. When you face a sinker baller, might try to move up a little bit. But if you tell yourself if it starts at your knees, then it's going to end up out of the strike zone. But that, again, that's easier said than done.
Oh, and 2. Giovanni Gallardo made the start for the Brewers. He went 6 innings, threw 100 pitches, 2 runs, 1 of them earned. Gabby Sanchez at first. 2 outs. And Lowe is 0-2 on Buck.
Boy, I tell you what, Gabby was dancing off. Somebody in the infield, might have been Prince Fielder, yelled to step off. And that's good communication, because if Lowe doesn't step off, Gabby steals second. Because he started to dance, he started to get a lead, he was going. And it was probably Prince Fielder who yelled step off.
Buck lays off, and it's 1-2. John tonight is 0 for 2 with a walk. A couple of hits last night, including a double.
I was just thinking about it, Rich. It's another little thing in the lineup with Hanley not in the lineup. Hanley with 11 stolen bases. The Marlins as a team with just 24. So he almost has half of the steals. So with him out, you lose that as well. You lose a little opportunity to pick up a stolen base here and there.
That's the one component that Emilio Bonifacio has not brought to the table this year. He's been able to get on base, played great defense. With all his speed, he has just 2 stolen bases. But who knows? We've seen his game evolve over the last 2-3 years. Maybe that's something that that's not a good look.
Kind of a grimace with Sean Cunningham working on Greg Dobbs' back. Yeah, the Brewers have a shift on with Buck up there.
They've got that, and we've talked about it. How often do you see
this space?
A shift for a right-handed hitter?
And especially with Fielder holding a runner.
And Buck bounces one to the left of second. Weeks got there and throws him out. He almost crossed up the shift. But the Marlins are still a run short. The Brewers are leading it and going to the ninth. Full season ticket plans at the new Marlins ballpark available now. Select your seats in the new ballpark and be part of the future of Marlins baseball in Miami. Place a deposit today. Call the new Marlins ballpark sales headquarters, 1-877-411-2012, or go to marlins.com/new ballpark. Tommy, remember late last year we got an email from a gentleman named Craig Hart. And as you look at Randy Choate there, Craig Hart, who served on the USS Georgia. He's from Kingsland, Georgia, and he's a big Marlins fan, watches all the time, very excited about the new ballpark, and was retiring and wanted to know if there was any way he could fly his retirement flag over the new ballpark. And look, there it is, up on one of the tracks, mounted. There's a shot of the retirement flag for Craig Hart of Kingsland, Georgia, the USS Georgia. We're glad we could accomplish that. Our thanks to PJ Loyello, Claude Delorme, and everybody down there at the new ballpark site that made that happen.
It's a nice touch. And our congratulations on your retirement.
Yes, Randy Cho would like to say the same to Prince Fielder after this at bat. If he can retire it. Breaking ball. Congratulations.
That's the same thing.
Your retirement.
Same thing he got Fielder to do last night, only but he got a double play out of it.
That's right.
Remember, he came in with a man on first.
And of course, he's the lefty specialist, so that was the lefty. He got him out. And Steve Cishek coming in the ball game. Maroney called to the bench.
You need a car, truck, or van. Who you gonna call? Maroney!
Top in the 9th inning in Miami tonight. Steve Cishek comes in, and this is probably the tightest spot that Cishek has pitched in the big leagues.
Yeah, I know you like to use the term soft landings. He's had some soft landings. This might be a little bumpier one, but I'll tell you what, he's done a nice job, mainly because when he's come in, he's thrown strikes. So Cishek, in his 2 previous appearances, 4 innings, 3 hits, no runs. And his brief time last year, he did a good job. But you're right, this is probably the closest ball game he's been in, and in a situation he's got some tough hitters, McGee and Lucroy.
Casey McGee tonight has struck out, lined out, flied out. He's 0 for 5 in the series. Marlins trying to get to the bottom of the 9th, down by a run. They'll have 8-9-1 scheduled in the 9th. Cishek, good sidearm whip delivery, and he can bring it 94 miles an hour.
I'll tell you what, he can make you uncomfortable if you're a right-handed hitter because of his delivery. Got a lot of knees and elbows going at you.
Massachusetts native.
Plus a good slider right there.
And as you saw, having a very good year in New Orleans. Marlins are hopeful that in the next few days somebody emerges from the minor leagues that's able to take the ball and start a game on Tuesday night against the Atlanta Braves.
Well, whoever it's going to be has already started. That's the thing, because it's going to be a starting pitcher who his day or close to his day to work would be Tuesday. So obviously you can't always pick maybe the guy who just has had a great start. That could be a guy pitching tonight.
Yes.
Well, if he has a great start, he's not going to be able to pitch Tuesday.
It's hard because you have a pool of candidates and you got to line up when they're pitching.
Yeah.
Ground ball short. Bonifacio. 2 outs. Well, last night The Marlins had to face John Axford, and he is up in the Brewers bullpen right now. Remember, it wasn't a soft landing for him last night.
Well, he created.
He created the turbulence.
He created some of it, yeah.
He walked the bases loaded before striking out Brett Hayes to finish the ball game. So don't go anywhere. Here is Lucroy, who's 1 for 3.
And by the way, right-handers in New Orleans were hitting 150 against Steve Cishek.
That's another thing that's really changed in the game, is the statistical breakdown that comes from the minor leagues. I mean, when
you didn't have all that years ago, yeah.
When you were winning the Coast League batting title twice, did they have all that statistical stuff on you?
They weren't talking about on-base percentage or OPS or anything like that.
Tommy Hutton, the prize prospect of the Dodgers, has a wins over replacement player value in the Coast League. 1-2 to Jonathan Lucroy. And Cishek. It's fouled back. It stays at 1-2.
Yeah, you really, that is an interesting point. You never heard a lot about on-base percentage back then. Talked about a guy's average. Did he drive in runs? Did he score runs?
Well,
it was a little simpler then.
Even more than on-base percentage, but I mean, just splits and stuff like that were not readily available up until, what, 15 years ago?
Yeah. Rich, it was simpler times back then. On and off the field.
That's right. There was no Twitter back in those days either. Bouncer up the middle. Bonifacio. He had one shot if he could transfer it from glove to hand, and it looked like he almost tried to flip it. And Lucroy is across with what will be.
It's an error. A tough play, but got him on the heel. I don't think he tried to flip it. It looked like he did in regular speed. But
you're right.
In Foxmo, got him on the heel, and Bonnie's charged with the error. But would have taken a perfect play. Would have had to pick it, transfer it, make the throw.
So Cishek gets to face Betancourt. His at-bat is a big one in this ball game. That one back in the 7th. After Prince Fielder had tied the game with a homer against Chris Volstad. Remember, Lucroy reached on the infield single, that line drive that Bonifacio dove for and had go out of his glove. It seemed harmless at the time, but then Uniesky Betancourt banged one off the Mikusuki sign in left center field. And that scored Lucroy, and that's the difference in the game, 3-2.
It's really amazing when you look back, and of course a lot of people here in South Florida, it's hard to follow the Seattle Mariners. But if you look at the seasons that Betancourt had in 08, he had 36 doubles at 279. Then 07, he had 38 doubles at 289. He had some solid years with the Mariners.
That's kind of been a revolving door over the last 4 or 5 years up in Seattle. So even in Seattle, it's been tough to follow Seattle.
Who's playing shortstop for the M's now? Am I putting you on the spot? I'll look if you.
Brendan Ryan, I think, is.
Came over from was with St. Louis.
They've moved Jack Wilson over to second base.
Jack Wilson's had some injury issues.
Counts 2-2. And the throw over to first.
Yeah, Brendan Ryan, 0 for 4, 262.
Justin Smoke is the guy that's starting to heat up there at first base. Smoke, of course, came in the Cliff Lead deal and did not have the best of starts at the end of last year, but this year is off to a very good start. Here's the 2-2. Got him. Cishek strikes out Betancourt. And the Marlins go into the ninth needing at least a run. Maroney, South Florida. When you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 1-877-Maroney. And by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Well, it's down to this again. Much like last night, the Marlins went into last night's bottom of the ninth, down a run, and that man, John Axford, on the mound. The Fish would load the bases. Axford would strike out Brett Hayes to finish the ball game.
Well, that's one thing for sure. Last night he had to work. He walked the first man he faced, Infante, then got a couple of outs, and then walked Mike Stanton. Remember, we talked about the respect they were showing to the 21-year-old to get to John Buck, who he walked. They weren't expecting that. That loaded the bases, and that set the stage for the pinch hit appearance by Brett Hayes.
So it's Infante. Right now, Scott Cousins is on deck. That could change if Infante reaches. Remember, the Marlins also have Ozzie Martinez on that bench, Wes Helms, and Brett Hayes. Axford misses up, and it's 1-0. Infante has walked. He is 0 for 2. Omar Infante is one of the tougher guys in the National League to strike out. Takes a strike there.
And what we saw last night in Axford, he's a tall, big guy, so he has that downhill plane with that fastball, 12-6, big curveball.
1-1. Ground ball off a fielder into right field. And the Marlins once again have their leadoff runner aboard.
And Fielder not guarding the line. He probably would have been over on the line with a left-handed hitter. He was in position. He was there. But this ball stung by Infante and climbed up the arm of Fielder. Really a bad hop. I think should be a hit. And that's the way it's been ruled.
Well, as expected, with Infante aboard, instead of Scott Cousins, it's going to be Ozzie Martinez. So you would expect Ozzie to be bunting.
We saw Ozzie when he was up earlier with the club in a situation like this where he was called on to sacrifice and he dropped down a beauty.
So Ozzie is up. Infante's at first. Axford from the belt. Shortens the bunt and takes outside. And obviously, rule one as a bunter is always bunt strikes.
And in that appearance, I remember Ozzie was very good at that. Not going out of the zone to try to bunt a pitch that wasn't a strike.
Top of the order is right around the bend. Chris Coughlin, then Bonifacio, then Morrison. That's a strike, and it's 1-1. Martinez also had an at-bat where he had to get a runner from second to third, and he did that in the 9th inning of a tight game, and the Marlins won it. 1-1. Drops down the bunt, and it's foul. Now what?
I think Edwin has enough confidence in Ozzie, and with that tough right-hander out there, I think he'll keep the bunt on with 2 strikes.
Infante has 3 stolen bases this year, but Jonathan Lucroy looked good in throwing out Chris Coghlan back in the 5th.
Even if you get into this situation with 2 strikes, even if it isn't the greatest of bunts, if you make the pitcher, Axford Field, that big gangly guy out there, he might not make a play at second base.
Struck him out.
And Ozzie not showing bunt and took the cold 3rd strike. Slider. Barely.
So it's Coghlan now, who was 3 for 4. All of his hits are singles. He struck out in the 7th. Coghlan did not face Axford last night. A strike and it's 0-1. Ron Renicky checking the times from pitcher to home plate. Coghlan a chopper. Infante got over the ball and ends up at second. And so here comes Bonifacio. And the Marlins are down to their last out.
That's a scary play because a couple of things can happen. Number 1, the ball could hit you, and then you're out. Number 2, because he slowed up to try to distract Weeks, I'm sure was thinking about maybe going to second base to get the force, and all of a sudden you don't have the potential tying run in scoring position. But a good play all around, and Infante leaves for the pinch runner, Scott Cousins.
Here comes Bonifacio. So Cousins is at second. Bonifacio is 0 for 3 in the ballgame. Axford trying to nail down his 2nd straight save in the series. That's a strike.
And has better command tonight than he did last night.
Yeah, he spotted that one either on the corner or just off the corner.
Last night he was all over the place.
Axford buries that breaking ball. A ball and a strike. 2 outs in the 9th. Edwin Rodriguez pacing. Bonifacio drove in a run last night with a triple. Outfield is very shallow, so it's going to take speed to score a run on a ground ball base hit. That one gets to the screen, and Cousins is now 90 feet away.
Boy, this changes a whole lot, and I'll tell you why. Obviously, it's easier for Cousins to score, but a little routine chopper, if Bonifacio can put the ball in play, the infielders can't have any bobble. They've got to be perfect to make an out at first base.
As well, it changes Fielder at first and McGee at third, because now they have to move in because a bunt could score the run. Whereas with Cousins at second, they weren't all that concerned about Bonifacio bunting.
And keep in mind, the Brewers have made 3 errors tonight.
2-1. Axford's pitch. It's up. You've got Logan Morrison on deck. It's 3-1 on Emilio Bonifacio. Down a run are the Fish in the bottom of the ninth for the second consecutive night. Last night against Axford, they left the bases loaded. Three-one coming. Ooh. Here's a look. Man, that is right on the black and right at the knees. Three-two coming. Got him, struck him out. Axford, for the second night in a row, shuts the door on the Marlins with the tying run for the second night in a row, 90 feet away. And the Milwaukee Brewers, a team that has struggled on the road, have come into Miami and taken the first two of this series. Just a good, hard country fastball from John Axford. 3-2 the final. The Brewers 3 runs, 7 hits, 3 errors. And the Fish 2 runs, 8 hits, and 1.